Hi guys, Sean here and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to teach you how I make my thumbnails in Adobe Photoshop CS6. So guys, let's get started. Alright guys, so we are here in Adobe Photoshop CS6. So what the first thing that you're going to want to do is create a new thing, and you're going to want to call it thumbnail or whatever, it doesn't matter. And you want it to be 480 by 269 pixels. Make sure it's RGB color, and you can either do white background or transparent background. It doesn't matter, but I'm going to use my thumbnail template, which uses a white background. So it should come up and it's going to be about this size. Should be the exact same size. If it's not, then you've got a problem. And what I like to do is I like to go into my Chrome browser and I like to look up shades of whatever color. I haven't done orange in a while, so I'm going to use orange. And not this one. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to choose shades of orange. And I'm just going to look over here, look at what I really like. I really like this web color. So it's FFA 500 as the hex color. So I'm going to click over here, and in this number, I'm going to type in FFA 500, and it's going to give me that exact same color. So now I'm going to go down, and I'm going to look for another one. I like to do a gradient, so I'm going to do this Atomic Tangerine, which is FF9966. 996? I don't know. FF9966. Okay, that's the color. And now I'm going to come over here to my gradient tool, and I'm going to just give it a nice looking gradient. Usually it takes me a little bit to find the exact gradient that I like, but I just play around with this setting, and it looks pretty nice in the end. So I'm just going to come here and find a gradient that I like. I don't know if these two colors really mix well. They kind of a little bit too light for this other color, so I'm going to change that a little bit and make it a little bit darker. And maybe that'll work. No, it still doesn't look that great. I'm just going to go ahead and put it back somewhere around there, and I guess I'll just change this color to a little bit of a closer color. Maybe this one right here. Yeah, that doesn't look that bad, so I'm going to keep that gradient right there. And now I'm going to come up here to my file, and I'm going to go to Open, and I'm going to just choose, let's go to Quick Access, Documents, Electronic Arts, Sims 4, Screenshots, and I'm just going to choose a photo that I've taken. I have a lot on here. Well, I don't really have that many, but usually I just go into my Sims and I take a photo with the capture button on my keyboard, and it puts it in my screenshots folder. Usually I do it in Create a Sim, or sometimes I'll do it in, what's it called, in like the real world, because I have Pose Player, so it lets me choose a certain type of pose. But I'm going to go ahead and choose, I don't know which one I want to choose. I think I'm going to go with, I think I'll go with this one right here. I think I might have used this already, but what it's going to do, it's going to load up over here, and I'm going to just go ahead and crop it so that it's a lot easier for me to work with. So I'm just going to crop that to there, and now I'm going to come up here to this tool right here. I'm going to go over here, I'm going to click Layer from Background, and now I'm going to get this, and I'm going to just delete some of the background. My tolerance is at 15, so I'm going to set that to like 25, and it's going to delete more of the background. So that's going to happen there, and over here, and up here. And that's going to delete that background. So now I'm going to go ahead and go into Control A, and I'm going to click Control C. I'm going to come back over here, and I'm going to click Control V, and that's going to paste that layer over here. So now I'm going to hit Control T, and I'll hold Shift on the corner just to make this smaller without losing any of the aspect ratio. So that makes it look good. And I'm just going to go ahead and fill this entire thing up. Usually for my thumbnails, I put them in a corner, and I put a number, but for this one I'm not, because it's going to be a tutorial. And so now I'm going to go ahead And I'm going to go onto this background, and I'm going to come here to layer, image adjustments, and I'm just going to change this brightness up a little bit. I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'm going to give it a little bit of contrast. And I'm also going to go back to adjustments and click on curves or Control M. And now I'm just going to do this, which gives it a little bit more contrast. And now image adjustments and photo filter sometimes I like to do. And I usually go with like a cooling filter. That actually looks very nice. And I'm going to come up to my sim and click image adjustments, brightness and contrast, just to get him a little bit brighter. And I'm also going to give him a filter, and usually if I choose a background filter that is cooling, I'll usually choose a warming filter for my sim. So that is probably what I'm going to do. I might do an orange overlay. I'm just going to try to make him look a little bit better. That actually looks very nice. So now I'm going to come over here to filter and sharpen and smart sharpen. Sometimes this works, but sometimes it doesn't. And I'm just going to try to make it look a little bit better. I mean, that really didn't do anything, so I'm not really going to do that right now. But let's see, is there anything else that I do over here? Not that I know of. So now what I'm going to do is come up here to File, Place. And I'm going to go into my Pictures folder. And I'm going to go to my Sims 4 icons. So these are a bunch of icons that I downloaded off of the Sims, modthesims.com or modthesims.info, and you can do the same. Just look up Sims 4 icons and it will give you all of these icons. So for this, I think I'm gonna go with, I don't know, what should I go with? Let's do, I don't really know what's good. I might put in the Photoshop icon. That's probably a better idea. So what I'm going to do is I might choose one of these. Let's do one of these. I don't really know which one I want to do because none of them really go ahead. Let's do question mark, because that kind of feels like, oh, you had a question, I'll answer it for you in Photoshop while I make my tutorial on how to do it. So let's just go ahead and do that. And I'm, for some reason, on that. Actually, I kind of want it to go over this way. So I'm just going to do this again. And I'm going to bring this over here. And now I'm going to go into my Chrome browser. And I'm going to look up Photoshop CS6 icon. And what it's going to give me is a bunch of images. But you may want to make sure it has a transparent background. So go ahead and put in transparent background. And now, if this one has a I'm just going to choose this one. I'm going to go ahead and copy that image, because I don't really want to save it onto my computer. And I'm going to go ahead and click Control T, drag that down a little bit, while holding Shift on the corners. And as you can see, it has that little black thing. So what you want to come over here and do, well, it's already rasterized for me, so that's pretty good. So what I'm going to do is that and just click the delete key, Control D, and now it's all good to go. So I'm just going to go ahead and drag this up here, just so that it looks pretty good. So yeah, that looks pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is come to my sim, and I'm going to double click on the side. And I'm going to click on a stroke, and I'm going to give this the 4 pixel white stroke. I feel like that's the best settings. And so I don't make my, let's see, I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to rasterize the layer style so that when I go ahead and add on my drop shadow, it doesn't conflict with that stroke. So now what I'm going to do is change the angle so that it goes this way. I'm going to go a little bit more. No, I'm going to go this way. Okay. And now I'm going to make the distance a little bit higher, and I'm going to make the size a little bit higher, and I'm going to hit OK, so that looks pretty nice. And now I'm going to go ahead and add some text on here. I have a bunch of different fonts, that's why it takes a little bit longer to load up, but what I'm going to type in is thumbnail, and I'm going to change this font to, I don't know what I want it to be. I might keep it this Kenzo. This is actually my favorite font is Kenzo. So what I'm going to come over here and do is Control T, make this a little bit larger, put it right there, hit that check mark, and I'm going to go ahead and click Control A, and I'm going to come here to Layer, Align Layers to Selection, and Horizontal Settings. What did I say? I don't know what I said. I don't know what I said actually. And now, what is this? Okay, there. And I'm going to hit Control T. What is this? What are you doing? Okay, there it is. And I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller. It's a little bit too big. And I'm just going to try to make it as perfect as I can get it. And now what I'm going to do is add a stroke to this. I'm going to add a black stroke so that it adds a little bit of contrast. And I guess I'll stick with 3. And now I'm going to go ahead and add one more layer of text that's going to say tutorial in cursive, because why not? And this is in caps, so tutorial. And we're going to go ahead and go down to my favorite cursive font, which is, where is it? Sunset Clouds. This font looks pretty cool in my likings. And I'm just going to make that a little bit bigger. And to add a little bit of contrast, I'm going to go ahead and make this text black, just because black goes pretty good with white. So what the heck? Did it change the color? I think it did. Okay, there. So we're just going to change that to black, and we're going to add a white stroke. So when this comes up, we're going to click stroke, and we're going to make it white. So that adds a little bit of contrast. And now I'm going to slide this over a little bit. And I actually think this actually looks pretty good. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to Control A this, Layer, Align Layers to Selection, Horizontal Centers. And I'm going to do the same with Tutorials, Layer, Align Layers to Selection, Horizontal Centers. So now it looks pretty good. And I might just change this a little bit. It looks a little bit too big. So we're just going to make that a little bit smaller, and same with this question mark over here. I'll make this a little bit smaller. And now this thumbnail looks pretty bomb. So now I'm going to go ahead and save this to my desktop for this video. I'm going to save it as a PNG file, and I'm going to name it whatever I want, thumbnail tutorial, and we'll do smallest slow. And there you have it. This is my Photoshop thumbnail tutorial. If you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to leave a like on my video, and don't forget to subscribe so you can see more videos from me every single week. I will see you all in my next video. Bye guys.